Many people think they have to learn with their head, they have to learn with their mind, but what if I said you have to learn with your heart? Now this might sound like a cheesy, spiritual type of message, and maybe it is. But actually, it's much more than that, because we can say it's cheesy all we want, we can pass it off all we want, but we cannot overstep and underestimate the most important, simplistic things in this life. And when we look at the heart, we usually symbolize it as love. Love is this thing that everybody needs, but yet, ever does this current world struggle with divorce and suicide, loving ourselves or loving others, and this is a scenario that needs to be configured. So the type of person who deserves good, and that of knowledge, I would say is every person. It is not that they deserve only one type of knowledge, and they certainly do not need knowledge if it is not based in reality, but only a construct of the mind. However, to be good requires heart, whereas to know requires mind. While of course these organs work together, and figuratively so, the heart carries most of the weight because it is the center of who we are. It is our core, much like that of the earth. These words represent mostly the mind. But the emotions which most people actually desire and actually live to deal with commonly, as is my reason for making these words, it is found in the heart. For many years, we go through our lives from one moment to the next, a memory to an experience, and cycled, all to continually realize we must be present. Because if we go too fast, we crash. We realize where we are, we come back to ourselves, our families, our values. The mind rushes, the heart slows. The mind thinks, but the heart feels. So this world of technology is much of thought. But that which drove the very being of technology is much of feeling. Wanting to create something amazing, wanting to feel connected. From the center, the tree grows, the roots spread amongst. If you create a hole in the ground, it is bound to be filled. And so in the same way, you touch the heart of another individual, you help them ground, center, and become fulfilled through the rest of their life. For you hit the roots to the roots. Legs without a heart will not move. A brain without a heart will not perceive. It is no wonder why the heart is likened much to that of the soul, and the concept of the soul seems to be lost in a world of the mind. So, it's almost as if we limited our ability to claim the heart or soul is just not scientific. I would say to this, well, why, of course it isn't, but does that give it illegitimacy? The heart wanders. It tells the mind where to go. Again, may you see this as mere emotion. I'm not claiming to have pure emotion, for your mind exists for great reason. However, I am saying that the mind of the mind is the heart that is actually in control most of the time. To even ponder upon these words and their necessity, do you use your mind or do you use your heart? Which is more contracting and which is more embracing? Which creates arguments and which guides and coaches? If truth had any tool then, it would be the heart, not the mind. Philosophy can guide an individual, but only so much without the heart to bear its embrace in the first place. An individual must be open to learn in order to learn in the first place. This is among asking, what is it that opens the mind? Is it the mind itself? Do ponder if it's the heart. For the acts of nonviolence by individuals like Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, or Martin Luther King Jr., the need to act comes from knowledge in the mind, not mere instinct or feeling, yet the mode of action and the reason why that very knowledge exists is emotion, is feeling. So studies upon natural moral law concerning knowledge of the mind, yet focused on harm and emotion of the heart. Studies upon health, a knowledge of the mind, yet focused on harm and emotion of the heart. So if it be we just let disease run its course, we'd be embracing that which we do not like to embrace. Not just that it's a disease. However, if we say it is a disease, why do we correlate it with dis-ease? Unless we'd have a comparison, so to say we can live with ease. The very comparison is made from the heart. So every past philosopher and new philosophy made was created because of the heart, a feeling that something is just not right, even if it really is not right. And what invokes such a feeling? We do recognize it's a feeling. Are we to say the mind controls all of this? Be it does, but again, what controls the mind? And to say we figured it all out, well, what are we using? The mind or the heart? When people speak of ideology and politics, do they come from the heart, actually? Or do they go based on agendas, what they were taught, conceptions in the mind of their own, with no regard to the minds of others or in regards to the truth of the whole world and its natural reality? If it be they were to regard all things, they'd not have an agenda. Their mind would be so open not to be controlling of other minds because they recognize it as their own. But what dictates the fact that it's their own? We may say that from the heart comes all conceptions of ownership and morality, and it cannot go ignored. Those claiming its subjectivity matters not, and those claiming its objectivity matters not, because it follows no standard, nor does it follow no standard at all. You see, because life is a test of accuracy, of direction, of finding purpose and realizing our presence, not just our moment now, but our moment forever. In other words, you strive to be right, but you'll never be always right. That does not mean that you abandon right. In the same way, you strive for love, but you'll never always have love. That does not mean you abandon love. In the same with your very life and living. It's easy to be stuck in the past when that's all we ever have had with us carried into the present. But remembering the present is our closest thing to the future, which can change while the past cannot. Similarly, it's easy to be stuck in the mind, but the heart is the closest thing to an individual which can make real impact while the mind cannot. The destruction of concepts concerning love is the destruction of society. An individual seeks love when they seek fulfillment, not that they cannot self-love or find it among individuals not commonly perceived for love, including pets. When love is placed in the unnatural, however, in material things, love cannot be given back because they are not conscious. The love you receive is an illusion. Why do I say this and how do I know this? Well, it doesn't create, it only consumes. And time shows it never truly fulfills. So, that is unless you use the material thing in further advancing those things natural, as it is man not abandoning nature, or the mind not abandoning the heart, the future not abandoning the past, and the past not abandoning the present. May I repeat, every individual deserves love and may not even know if another individual is seeking love, or in good intent, or if it be in their vision of love is confused or tempted, because the heart cannot abandon the mind either. You listen or read these words for the heart, do you not? The yin and the yang both essential for the other, yet without question an answer only assumes one. For every one there is two, hence you have three. You may see this not only in love, but with the mind and heart giving way to the guts to act, the masculine and feminine giving way to the balance, the past and future giving way to the present. And where are you on that way amongst all you are? May you notice words may never perfectly describe that of the heart. Mere images may never perfectly depict that of the vision. And man in his mind may never fulfill that of both nature and heart, because nature and the heart are one. So much as the mind may be if it is allowed into being from the center. You may know thyself and love yourself, but you will still need love from another. As it is the roots searching for water and giving to life its own nutrients in return. And worry not about your need for love as you love doing your best, your loveliest. For it will humble you to know not of expectation, and observe those who fumble upon love as they fail to temptation, among the lack of environment, unconsciousness among the consciousness. We don't grow one way. We grow on all sides but from the center. To find love, be love. Never abandon it so much as honesty. Never abandon it so much as yourself, because it creates you. And if you love humanity or want them to have the ability to create as opposed to destroy, consider not legitimizing a system based on violence known as government, and start embracing voluntarism. So thank you very much for watching. That ending, you might be a little bit surprised. What are you talking about? Government? Violence? Yes, in fact, this is the position of all the philosophical anarchists throughout history. They're not ones throwing bombs, they're not ones throwing any fire on the streets. No, they are peaceful individuals who simply want to live their own lives. Now, these are individuals that just want freedom, really, and recognize that it cannot come from the government. That the thousands of years of us trying to get freedom through the government and trying to create a perfect system does not work. And that rather we need to learn how to let go, trust, and allow people to be people. And we can still have voluntary organization, and we can still have solutions in society for defense or whatever we want, but it will not be centralized and controlled, and there won't be some authority figure that we say has more rights than everybody else and can therefore use violence against everyone else, even though violence is wrong. See, when you want your neighbor to pay for something that you want to pay for, you are using violence against him to compel his obedience. And you're proclaiming that you have the right to demand that of him. Therefore, you have this authority that you have to tell him what to do with his own property, his own life, his own ownership. And therefore, that makes him your slave. That makes him your subject. And that makes you the ruler. That makes you the person that we call the state or the government. So if you get rid of that, what you have is equality. But how do you get rid of that? Well, it starts by recognizing that belief in authority, that belief that you can create violence and somehow create a better world, that you can compel obedience from your neighbor. It's getting rid of that. That is what voluntarism is. And that is what is really at the roots to getting to a better world, a world that is actually loving. And a lot of people who talk about love or spirituality or anything concerning the heart will not talk about this. But this is heavy and has been heavy on the generations time and time again. Just look at World War II. And democide is the #1 cause of unnatural death. That should concern you because that's millions of people dying to the hands of people who thought they were doing good because they were just following orders and doing what they're told and shutting off their own brain and shutting off their own conscience. And so all I'm saying is that individuals should always have honesty, always love others, and this is not a hard thing to do. Right? You can't expect everybody to do that, but you can expect that the people who do want that, which is most people in the world, and most people know what is right and wrong, that they will not contradict their own morals. But they do in the case of this belief system. So I'm going to put some questions on the screen for you and see if you have any contradictions within your own mind. Because if you do, this also proves the Stanley Milgram experiment successful, a psychology experiment that's banned. You can look this up. And he found out, wait, if there were concentration camps in America, the same exact thing would happen as happened in Germany because people still have the same mindset. You may say, oh, well, that will never happen here. We learned. Wrong. Here's a psychiatrist, a psychologist who's really looking at this and saying, wait, people would still do it. Why? Because they still have that belief system in authority. So you get rid of that and actually you can create a free world. You can't get rid of the systems. You can't just say, let's get them out. It doesn't work like that. You can't just vote somebody in. It doesn't work like that. It works by changing the minds and hearts of individuals, the mass man. Because this is who creates these systems in the very first place. And if we want to change the world, we have to get to the direct cause, and that is people in their mind. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to send us your article, I'll turn to a video for you. Go to theliberator.us, go to theliberator.us, and also we had a game show with John Peniel Chidester. He had a great fun presence on that game show, so be sure to check it out if you want. He also has a great channel with a lot of awesome videos. Thank you for watching.